Hello everyone and welcome to Season 2 of the Happyness Journey with Dr. Dan. For this season, we will be bringing guests who will share their own path to happiness. Now we all have a different definition to what happiness means to us. For some, it's a huge mansion by the ocean, while others would prefer excellent health and longevity. Now in this season, my guests will share their journey on overcoming challenges and managing to keep moving forward despite the odds. Now this show will make you laugh or cry, but most importantly, it will inspire you. Now, if they went through tough times and survived, you can too. No matter how hard things may seem, there's always something good coming around the corner. Sometimes painful things can teach us lessons that we didn't think we needed to learn. Today, we have a special guest, author Paula Potts. Now, in her book, she described how she dealt with constant setback during the past decade while suffering from fibromyalgia and panic disorder. Even though a very common disorder, as more than 3 million new cases diagnosed every year, fibromyalgia, also called fibrositis, is a widespread muscle pain and tenderness throughout the body. It is often accompanied by fatigue and altered sleep, memory, and mood. Now, some very few meds are known to be effective to relieve the symptoms of fibromyalgia, with lots of bad side effects though. But stress reduction and talk therapy prove to be the best natural option. Now, the causes of fibromyalgia are unknown, but they have been linked to stressful and traumatic events such as car accidents, repetitive injuries, and certain diseases. Now, some scientists think it may be related to a genetic dysfunction that occurs in adulthood, but may also occur to people in their mid-20s. Now, Paula Potts will share with us her journey dealing with his or her disorder, among other things, and her way to seek her ultimate happiness despite her many challenges. Paula, thank you so much for being at the studio today, and welcome to the Happyness Journey.
Thank you, Dr. Dan. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Good. So now tell me a little bit more about your disorder, I would say the fibromyalgia that you've been suffering with for so many years.
Well, I was diagnosed in 1988 when I was just about to turn 40 years old.
Okay.
And at the time, nobody really knew what it was. Actually, I was accused of faking it. I was accused of trying to get away from work. I was really much maligned because no one understood this pervasive pain that never stopped. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, I went to the medical doctors. It took them about 6 months to diagnose me. Fortunately, though, I was blessed along the way, even from the beginning, because there was a physician at the Howard University Hospital who was a specialist in a disorder called myofascial trigger point disorder, mm-hmm. which was the original name. Okay. And so I started to work with him, and that's when the journey began. However, I got worse before I got better.
And worse, is it because it was not treated? Or worse is because that accompanied to panic disorder that you'd mentioned before?
All of the above. It got worse because the treatment, trigger point injections, I had to sit and have needles coursing through all of my neck and my back. Was very painful. The side effects of the treatments were very painful. And still for years, no one believed I was sick. They thought I was making it up. So I was faced with constant insults when I went to work. I couldn't get accommodations. I was cold sensitive. I couldn't get a heater. I fought for a leave without pay. I was just mistreated because people just didn't believe. I didn't look sick because you can't see pain.
Yes,
invisible illnesses. People with invisible illnesses suffer much more than anybody in the world really realizes.
So how did you stay focused throughout this pain, throughout especially being misdiagnosed or not being diagnosed at all? Yeah. How did you manage to be able to go through your day, with this constant pain and I would say the panic that you had to go through it?
It was very difficult at first. Very, very difficult. I really thought my life was over. Mm-hmm. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my days in bed yelling and screaming and crying out for mercy. That's what I thought initially. But there were several things. First of all, I had a daughter that I was raising who was, starting a brand new career, and, I had to maintain our life together. I didn't want to fail her or fail us. I had a great career of my own, and I was bedridden after a number of years, I wanted to get out of bed. Mm-hmm. The doctor said I wouldn't walk again. They said I wouldn't dance again. They put me on all this medication. I was drugged out all day, but I was determined to get out of bed. I was determined to walk again. I was determined to have a productive life again. And by the grace of God, I kept finding ways out. Excellent. Angels, I say, showed up along the way. There was always one person who would come along and help me, whether it was driving me to church or bringing me meals or taking me to all of my appointments. People just showed up by the grace of God.
This is when you really need people, and this is when you could consider them true friends.
Absolutely, yes. I couldn't drive myself anywhere, so I had to be driven to all of my appointments. Fortunately, my medical doctors were nearby. I couldn't prepare my meals. I couldn't do my hair.
Ouch.
I had to go to a hairdresser. And my daughter was training as a hairdresser at the time, so she could help. But there was one right around the corner from where we lived, angels all around, right? And so she would take me there to get my hair done. So I couldn't lift my arms to wash my hair.
Wow.
I was in severe pain everywhere in my body.
But did something trigger fibromyalgia when you said that when you been diagnosed when you were 40? Did you have any symptoms prior to when you reached the 40 years old, or it just happened because there was a car accident, or like I mentioned, what really causes or what really triggers fibromyalgia?
Well, initially, there was no real obvious cause.
Okay.
Because of the air conditioning in my office, I would notice that the pain would start arising in my neck and shoulders when I sat under the severe cold in my office. So at first, I really thought it was being caused by the internal forces there, because I didn't have any of that pain prior to that. I was a dancer. I'm taking dance classes and I'm doing my thing, so I didn't have that kind of pain. I recognized later on, though, retrospectively, I recognized that it was related to a severe back injury that I had in my 30s.
Okay.
So injuries can come back to haunt you years later. So for your listeners, watchers, you might need to know that. And also, I had many traumas and stresses. And because I was under so much stress when I was diagnosed, when I was first diagnosed, it was just kind of on my left side. But because I was the constant stress, the constant disbelief, the constant mistreatment, I just got worse and worse. And it spread everywhere in my body. I started having panic attacks. Panic attacks made the pain worse, and it was just a vicious cycle.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when did you start writing the book about you mentioning that you're crazy in it? Because you probably must have heard that many times about
over and over and over
fake
again,
pain, so
right?
to speak.
Exactly. Well, it's kind of interesting. I could not write the book because my doctor, medical doctor, Dr. R. George Adams, I have to call his name. He was really one of my earth angels, and he asked me to keep a record, a journal of my healing process when I started taking various types of therapies, myotherapy and the energy medicine therapies. And so I journaled every day. And then eventually, as I started to get better, and it wasn't due to medical science that I was getting better, though I did have the support of the medical community, so I'm not anti-medicine, okay? But he kept saying, when are you going to write the book? When are you going to tell people what you're doing? Because whatever you're doing, it's working, and people need to know about it. And I'd be, oh, doctor, I can't do this. It's too personal. It's way too personal. And then my daughter would say, Mommy, you can help a lot of people. Write the book. You can help a lot of people. And so I just began, then it just started to happen. I just started to write the stories, and they started to happen. And in 2005, at the age of 57, I became a poet.
Interesting.
Again, by the grace of God, I believe. I became a poet, and the poems started coming. And in November, I wrote a poem, Yesterday When I Was Crazy, was the name of the poem. So the title of the book came from a poem. And I was actually angry when it first happened.
Angry and crazy.
I was angry at the crazy part. I was like, God, no, you're not going to make me write a book about crazy. But then the more I meditated on it, the more I took it in spirit. I believe in gifts of the spirit and how they work through divine intervention and divine guidance. And so I just kept doing it. I just kept writing and kept writing and kept writing. And about 9 years later, 9 years later, I found an editor very quickly. And the editor and I worked together for a year for the rewrite. And then it was done in 2014. I completed it. And I was very happy, very grateful.
Amazing.
For the journey.
Now, inside the book, you talk about energy medicine.
Yes.
Can you talk more about that, in which that helped you a lot deal with the pain on a daily basis?
I say it saved my life.
Saved your life.
Okay. Yes, that's
it's
what
not
I
just
say
okay.
It's okay. I'm getting God bumps just hearing you mention it back to me. Thank you for that question. It's also one of the reasons I wrote the book.
Okay.
Because I was a dancer, and my doctor said to me, well, you healed yourself once before in a dance class. Why don't you try that again? So I said, okay, why not, right? I have nothing to lose. So I go and I look for my dance teacher. She had just passed, right?
Oh.
So she wasn't there. Her daughter, I went to her funeral. Her daughter was there. I told her what I was dealing with and that I needed to dance again. And she said, I have the perfect person for you. Go see Charmaine Lee at Synergy Dance on Wisconsin Avenue. Got it, gonna do it. And I went to Charmaine's class. Well, she was an energy medicine practitioner as well as a world-renowned dancer. And this was a healing dance form that she was teaching. And she said to me in no uncertain terms, you need to do this work. I believe this can help you. And I did. She recommended a teacher. She said, I have the perfect teacher for you. And so she sent me to this teacher. She was my first practitioner. She also told me how bad off I was, by the way.
Wow.
She said, you are in trouble. You need to do this work. And it just had the ring of truth. Again, God's grace let me know that that had the ring of truth. And then I started to study energy medicine.
Amazing.
Polarity therapy and craniosacral therapy are the two disciplines that I've studied for the past 20 years.
Are they called alternative therapies?
Yes, at the time, actually, that is what we called all of these things, alternative therapies, acupuncture, Reiki, all of them. Now we more or less, I'd like the term integrative medicine.
Integrative medicine.
Integrative
okay.
medicine, I refer to it as complementary medicine because it's not so much an alternative. I think that says either or.
Okay.
What I would like to see happen, what I recommend and suggest, is that you use both conventional medicine and complementary integrative medicine techniques together. They do work well together.
So it's not just one or the other, it's
No,
all of it together.
It's all of it together. Because even though I was inundated with meds and, drugged out of my mind with side effects and all kinds of things for 8 years on the medications.
Wow.
And they made me worse also. I had to detox all those meds for years. Took me 10 years to detox all the meds, but I did it. But I still carry certain ones with me for acute situations. I take the medicine and keep on stepping.
Now we will take a quick break. Stay tuned to hear more from our guest, Paula Potts. Message from the universe, changing your life from within. Lo and behold, before your very eyes and all around you is a reflection of what lies from within. Glad we cleared that up. Talio, the universe. So what would you like to see all around you? Peace, serenity, joy, happiness, love, and what else? There's so much we can add to this list, but nothing will happen if you don't first feel all of what you want from within. How can you expect the world to change from the outside if you're not willing to make a change from the inside? If you bundle in hate, sadness, anger, depression, how can you expect the world to do the opposite? You may wonder, how can I make a change? How can the world or people around me change for the better? It all starts with you, ladies and gentlemen. The only thing you can really control is how you feel or act. Do not focus too much on the outside world that needs dire change. Just put all your attention on how you can make a change for yourself. Take that first step. Work on how you want to better your attitude towards life, opting for a different perspective, and the rest will follow. Write down all the things you dislike about your daily routine. See what works and what doesn't, and start making changes. It will be hard in the beginning, but it will end up to offer you new opportunities, a new life that you wouldn't ever experience without the desire to seek something unique about yourself. Nothing in life comes easy if you do not put the effort and accept that change is imminent. We all want to live a fulfilling life, but not always willing to go through the hard work to make things happen. If you're not happy the way things are going at this moment, nothing stops you from making that change. Some will seek happiness by acquiring material assets such as cars, homes, gadgets, and whatever else. This will only offer you temporary happiness that fades as quick as it came in. Learning to be happy with nothing is the biggest accomplishment anyone can achieve. This journey is about you, not Joe and Jane Schmo. You are the only one walking or running that path. That means that whenever you do reach your destination, you are and will always be a winner. If you want to learn more about the universe, be sure to watch the Happiness Journey right here on MCM. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Dr. Dan, and I'm here with Paula Potts. We're discussing her journey through life dealing with fibromyalgia and panic disorder. Welcome back again to the studio.
Thank you, my pleasure.
So tell me more about how this whole pain and panic disorder impacted your relationship and your daily life.
Oh, it changed everything. I really thought my life was over. My life as I knew it had ended. Because I was, a very committed professional. I loved my job. I loved my work, my career in higher education. And I was a dancer. I was very physical, active. I had a young daughter. And now I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't get out of bed. People didn't believe me. People mistreated me. I couldn't get paid because of, leave ran out. And so all of my relationships, most of them, were reasonably shattered for quite a period of time just because of the disbelief. And then I needed a lot of help.
Yes.
Every day I needed a lot of help. I needed people to cook my meals and fix my hair and help me take a bath and just do everything.
So despite all of that, you took something that was very negative in your life and transformed it to something very positive.
Yes.
How did you manage that?
Again, I have to give the grace of God, the credit, and the angels that were all around me, and the people who loved me. There were still enough people, my daughter, a couple of church members, a couple of family members and friends, a couple of doctors and practitioners. I can't name them all today, but they all said, I think I can help you. And so people reached out to help me. They drove me places, they fed me, they cared for me, and that helped a lot. And then they led me to healing paths. I was led, as I said previously, by the dance teacher to energy medicine and to the classroom to study polarity therapy and craniosacral therapy. And in those classrooms, people helped me. I was able to help myself. When I first went, I was sitting up against a wall, propped up on pillows. I couldn't even stand.
Wow.
But after numerous bodywork sessions, then I was able to get better, and then I was able to help myself. But I needed a lot of help. And I asked for help. And that's what I would say to the people that are watching. Ask for help. It's out there just waiting. There are angels all around. There are professionals and loved ones. Seek until you find them. And then tell the naysayers to step back and watch you shine. Because
so you do believe in the laws of attraction?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I had to learn to believe in the laws of attraction, though, really. I didn't really start there. But I think it was gifted to me.
Okay.
I think because I'd always been someone of purpose. I come from a family that was well educated and a family of service and people who were dedicated to what they did, and I just couldn't be different from that. I had to live up to the to the family honor, if you will.
Absolutely.
And I was active, and I didn't want to be bedridden. I didn't want to not be able to walk. One of the doctors said I'd never dance again. I said, oh no.
Don't tell me that.
Don't tell me I'll never dance again, because it's going to happen. And it did. It took years, but it worked. And I just kept trying things that worked. So keep trying things that work. And I never gave up.
Now, what would you say the greatest lessons that has been taught to you throughout your journey with pain and fibromyalgia and all of this that you had to deal with?
Well, that's another one of my favorite questions, so thank you. And there's several answers. And two of them are represented in my book. And my greatest lesson was God is bigger. Okay? I learned, and it really got revealed to me, one of my aha moments when I was writing poetry in 2005, was that at every juncture, the universe, God, however you see the Creator, had provided someone, something, some idea, some synchronicity, some serendipity, right? That then led me to the next thing. And the next thing was always greater than the thing before. And I went, oh my God, God is bigger, so never fear. Because God is there, and there's something greater out there. You just have to trust the process. The other is love is the answer.
Okay.
Because what I learned is that I didn't really love myself. Because I had been so maligned. I had turned that energy against myself. And I didn't love myself enough to treat myself the way I needed to be treated. So I learned to love myself. And so that self-love also helped to propel me forward. So that's God is bigger, love is the answer. And ultimately I learned when writing the book that it was all not about me. It wasn't really about me and my healing process with all that I did. It was about God's people. He had a purpose beyond all the suffering. There was a purpose beyond everything I endured to bringing the message of love and healing to the world. That's what was happening, is I was being redirected in my life to do something greater, because God is bigger and love is the answer, and it's not about me.
And you did such a great job in this book, actually.
Thank you.
So
thank
that's
you,
that's
thank
really
you.
phenomenal. And I know for a fact that a lot of people, when they go through what you went through for so many years,
Yeah, a long time.
they would want to give up. They would just say, you know what, maybe I was destined to suffer.
Yeah.
Maybe I was destined to do something like that,
Yeah.
or to be like bedridden and not be able to move.
Exactly.
But yet you found a way
Yes.
deep inside your
Yes.
subconscious mind to
Absolutely.
be able to get out and to say, you know
Yes.
what, I'm going to transform this
Yes.
into something that could help others. And this is the purpose of this show.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because, you know, it's like to be
yes.
able to bring
and that's
happiness.
what I love about being on your show.
Exactly. So that's really phenomenal. Now,
Yes.
for those who suffers from the same thing as what you did. Now,
Yeah.
you mentioned in the previously that your therapy only worked for you specifically. Every method to be able to feel better. But for others, how would you suggest people to just try everything, or to just kind of like focus on specific treatment?
Very good question again. I'd say a little bit of both. Depends on how desperate you are. Sometimes you just have to keep going and everything that you can access, right? But in my case, I was again fortunate to find a discipline called myotherapy. myotherapy, myotherapy, which I again found serendipitously sitting in a doctor's office. And the woman who had fibromyalgia said to me, I have it in my neck, and I did this myotherapy and it worked, but I couldn't keep going. So I went, my synergy dance class, there was a young woman there who was studying myotherapy. Right there in the same class.
Everything just comes
lined
together.
up,
Yes.
right? And so she became my myotherapist. As it turned out, I came out on disability after a while. And disability, believe it or not, my disability insurance paid for that treatment. So for 10 years,
Oh my God, you must have a good insurance.
10 years, I had therapy 2 to 4 times a week, this myotherapy. At the same time that I met the myotherapist is also where I met the energy medicine practitioner, polarity therapist. So I started getting that at the same time. So I would say, look for a myotherapist in your area, look for a polarity therapist and a craniosacral therapist. Body work is very important in the treatment of fibromyalgia, because in my mind, the medicine is only a Band-Aid, the pills, it's only a Band-Aid. Diet, exercise is key. To me, exercise is the main key.
Absolutely.
And what I liked about myotherapy is that in addition to the body work, is there was a stretch program, very specific. So you had to know you were stretching the quadratus, or you had to know you were stretching the bicep. It was very specific to the treatment process. And I had to do those exercises every 2 to 4 hours every day.
Wow.
But it worked.
Yes.
Okay. And now I do them, at a maintenance level. I do exercise at a maintenance level. But I would definitely say body work is key. And if you haven't tried it, try it. And don't give up. It may take months to accomplish what you need to accomplish. But in the final analysis, you can actually have your body reorganized. You can retrain your muscles to function properly. You know this because you're a trainer, right?
Exactly. That's correct.
And so that's what I did. I retrained almost every muscle in my body.
That's really amazing. I mean, you just said, you kind of like answered a question before I was about to ask, is that how long, when you did myotherapy, how long did you start feeling better?
Quite soon.
Quite soon, okay.
Yeah, I started feeling better quite soon. It's just that my situation, my condition was so severe.
That's okay.
So I had to work on everything, right? And what you find is that fibromyalgia happens in layers. So I'd get through one layer of pain and then be a layer under there. And I'd get through another layer of pain and be another layer under there. So, yeah, I got discouraged.
Yeah, I could just imagine.
But I wanted a life. I wanted a life with some quality to it. I didn't want to be bedridden. I didn't want to be angry and depressed. And I was
crazy.
Crazy, right?
Exactly.
Because I could see why they thought I was crazy.
Interesting.
Right.
Now, when it comes to dancing, did you go back at it? Are you like an active dancer?
Well, not right now.
Okay.
No. But for the time I went back for therapeutic reasons, I took classes for 3 times a week.
3 times a week.
Yeah, when I finally built up for 3 years, I went to this dance class for 3 years, and by the time I left, I was going 3 times a week, and she wanted me to become a teacher. But I didn't feel called to that. I was being called, and I was still very deep in my own therapeutic process in those early years. But I still take dance classes from time to time, and Tai Chi. I've studied Tai Chi and Continuum and other forms of healing dance, and I love to dance.
Amazing. Now, what would be your best advice to all of our viewers who are actually suffering from fibromyalgia?
Think outside the box is what I would say. Look up some complementary integrative breath work, breathing exercises.
Yes, meditation.
Can really help reduce pain and stress. There's so many things out there, for you to try. Dietary changes. I started juicing. Well, celery juice, if you tolerate celery, is nervine. So I could have my celery, carrot, juice in the morning, and that would reduce my pain.
That's amazing.
There are a lot of gentle, what I call gentle therapies, because some of us can't even stand to be touched. There were times where I couldn't even be touched. I couldn't hug. I couldn't applaud. So there are ways to reduce it, and you must reduce stress. It's key.
Amazing.
You must reduce your response to stress. It's like you have to retrain your nervous system.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank Paula for her time with us in our studio. Thank you for coming and inspiring our viewers who are dealing with fibromyalgia and other physical disorders. Now, we hope you have enjoyed today's episode. I'm very excited about season 2 of the Happyness Journey, full of inspirational stories just like the one we had today. Now, here are a few concluding words of wisdom. Today, be the person of your dreams. See life through their eyes. Make decisions with their mind. Let every thought, word, and action come from their perspective, as if you had already arrived. And just watch how 2017 warps into the kind of year you talk, laugh forever and ever and ever. Peace, love, and lots of happiness. My name is Dr. Dan Amzalag, and have yourself a wonderful day.